Commander Thane gazed through the crystalline viewport of the hegemony flagship Eternal Dominance at the blue-green world suspended in the cosmic void before him. Such a primitive, unsuspecting planet. His compound eyes flickered in sequence, a gesture of anticipation among the Kethran. "What a pathetic little rock," he muttered, his mandibles clicking with each syllable. "And yet our resource scans indicate it holds the largest concentration of trilithium crystals in this entire sector." Strategic Officer Kira approached from behind, her biomechanical exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's ambient lighting. "The inhabitants call it Earth, Commander. Their civilization hasn't even achieved faster-than-light travel. They've barely managed to visit their own moon. Our tactical assessment indicates virtually no resistance capability." Thane released a rumbling sound from his vocal chambers, the Kethran equivalent of laughter. Another species about to learn their proper place in the cosmic hierarchy. How many worlds does this make now, Kira? 74 subjugated planets, Commander, Kira corrected, inputting data through her neural interface. The hegemony expands ever outward, as is our divine right. Indeed. Thane turned from the viewport, his towering 4-meter frame casting long shadows across the command deck. "Prepare the standard first contact protocol. Message of superiority. Demand for surrender. Demonstration of overwhelming force if necessary. The usual performance." Kira hesitated. "Sir, intelligence suggests these humans might be unpredictable. They dedicate an unusual percentage of their planetary resources to warfare despite controlling only a single world." Thane waved a clawed appendage dismissively. "Every species believes they are unique, Kira. Every single one. Yet they all capitulate the same way, mining trilithium for the glory of the hegemony. These humans will prove no different." "As you command," Kira said, bowing slightly before returning to her station. Communications Officer Dex turned from his console. "Commander, we're receiving transmissions from the planet. Their primitive satellites have detected our arrival." "Display it," Thane ordered, settling into his command throne. The viewscreen activated, revealing a human female in a navy blue uniform. Her face maintained professional composure despite obvious strain. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth's United Defense Command. You have entered restricted space. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." Thane's lips curled, exposing rows of razor-sharp teeth. "How amusing. They believe they own this space." He nodded to Dex. "Transmit Protocol 7. The standard hegemony message began broadcasting, the same ultimatum that had preceded the fall of 74 civilizations. "Attention inhabitants of the world designated Earth. We are the Kethran hegemony, masters of 9 galactic sectors. Your planet contains resources essential to our continued expansion. Surrender immediately and accept protectorate status, and you may continue existing under our benevolent guidance. Resist and face total subjugation. You have 6 planetary rotations to comply." Thane leaned back, already bored. These encounters always followed the same predictable pattern: shock, denial, futile resistance attempts, then inevitable surrender. The hegemony's technology was simply too advanced, their military might too overwhelming for any pre-warp civilization to challenge. "Begin deep scanning their defensive capabilities," he ordered, "and prepare the subjugation fleet." 3 days later, Thane found himself unexpectedly roused from his rest cycle. Something was wrong. "Report," he demanded as he strode onto the command deck, irritated at having his scheduled regeneration interrupted. Science Officer Vell looked up from his station, all 6 optical sensors blinking rapidly, a sign of distress among his species. "Commander, we've been analyzing the human response to our ultimatum and did they surrender as any rational species would?" Thane interrupted. "No, sir, they've unified." Thane paused. "Explain." Kira stepped forward, her usual confidence noticeably diminished. "Prior to our arrival, the planet was fragmented into approximately 200 separate political entities. Within 48 hours of our message, they formed a unified defense coalition. Every major military power has consolidated resources. So they've banded together for a final stand," Thane said with a dismissive gesture. "It makes no difference. Our weapons technology exceeds theirs by at least 6 centuries. "There's more," Vell continued nervously. "They've been studying our ships. Somehow they detected and analyzed our scanning beams, using them to gather intelligence on our hull compositions and energy signatures. Now Thane felt genuine unease creeping through his consciousness. How is that possible? Their technology shouldn't be capable of such sophisticated analysis. Unknown, sir. But they're adaptive. Extremely adaptive. The command deck fell silent as the massive view screen activated unbidden. The same human female appeared, but now she stood in what appeared to be a global command center, surrounded by representatives from various human nations. Catherine Hegemony, Admiral Chen began, her voice unnervingly calm. We've considered your generous offer of slavery. Here is our response. The screen split to show multiple locations around Earth. In each one, humans were mobilizing on a scale that defied comprehension. Factories converting to weapons production overnight. Civilian vessels being retrofitted with improvised armor plating. Communication satellites repositioning themselves into coordinated networks. Earth does not kneel to bullies, Chen continued. We've studied your vessels. We've identified structural weaknesses. And unlike the 74 worlds before us, we will not submit quietly. Thane felt his vocal chambers constrict. How do they know about the 74 worlds? He hissed. Kira looked equally disturbed. They must have decrypted portions of our communication protocols, sir. Chen wasn't finished. You see, the peculiar thing about humans is that we've spent our entire recorded history fighting each other. Warfare is our specialty. Peace is something we're still learning. But when an actual external threat emerges, she smiled, and for the first time Thane understood what a true predator species looked like. Well, suddenly all that practice serves a purpose. The transmission ended. Thane stood frozen momentarily before snarling, "Launch the first wave immediately. No more protocols. Show these primitives what real power looks like." The initial assault should have been textbook simple. 15 hegemony destroyers against a planet with no space-based weaponry. Standard subjugation procedure. It was anything but simple. "Casualty report," Thane demanded, pacing the command deck as damage assessments flooded in. 23 destroyers lost, Commander," Kira reported, her voice hollow with disbelief. "The humans repurposed their nuclear missiles. Instead of attempting to penetrate our shields directly, they detonated them in proximity, creating electromagnetic pulses that temporarily disabled our systems. Then they followed with kinetic projectiles, simple metal slugs accelerated to incredible velocities. Primitive but devastatingly effective," Vel added. "They identified the plasma recyclers as a critical vulnerability. Without those systems, our shields cannot regenerate." Thane slammed a clawed fist into a nearby console, fracturing its surface. "Impossible! No pre-warp species has ever countered our technology so rapidly." "That's not all," Dex interrupted. "We're detecting unusual construction activity on their lunar satellite. They've built something there in the past 72 hours. "Show me," Thane ordered. The view screen displayed Earth's moon, where a massive railgun had been assembled using components from multiple human space installations. "They cannibalized their own orbital infrastructure to create weapons," Kira observed with reluctant admiration. "And they're using our scanning technology against us, pinpointing our fleet movements with frightening precision." Thane experienced something he hadn't felt in centuries of conquest. Genuine fear. "Launch the second wave. All remaining destroyers. Target their command centers first." The second wave fared no better. The humans had learned, adapted, and prepared with terrifying efficiency. Their lunar railgun eliminated 9 destroyers before they could enter firing range. Earth-based laser arrays, technology the humans shouldn't have been able to develop so quickly, disabled 12 more. And then came the true shock. "Commander!" Vel's voice was nearly a shriek. "They've launched vessels, warships!" "Impossible," Thane breathed. "They didn't possess combat-capable spacecraft 3 days ago." "They didn't," Kira confirmed. "These appear to be civilian craft, hastily converted into military vessels. They're crude, but effective." The view screen showed dozens of human ships rising from Earth. Most were clearly repurposed space stations or communication satellites, now bristling with improvised weaponry. They moved in formations that suggested military precision, targeting the weakened hegemony fleet with surprising coordination. "They're communicating on frequencies we dismissed as too primitive to monitor," Dex reported, coordinating attacks across all fronts. A human voice suddenly crackled over the command deck speakers. They'd somehow infiltrated the hegemony's communication system. "Attention, Catherine vessels. This is General David Park of Earth Defense Forces. You came expecting sheep. You found wolves. Each ship you lose gives us more of your technology to analyze and exploit. I suggest you reconsider your position while you still have vessels remaining to retreat in." Thane roared in fury. "Bring the flagship into attack position. I'll lead the final assault personally." Kira stepped forward, her mandibles tight with tension. "Commander, I must strongly advise against this course of action. The humans have demonstrated capabilities far beyond our initial projections. We should withdraw and reassess." "Withdraw?" Thane spat the word like poison. "The hegemony does not retreat. We conquer. We dominate. We are the apex predators of 9 galactic sectors." "With respect, sir," Kira said quietly, "I believe we may have encountered another apex predator." The Eternal Dominance moved into Earth orbit, its massive hull dwarfing the improvised human fleet. This was the flagship of the hegemony, a vessel that had witnessed the subjugation of dozens of civilizations. Its weapon systems could sterilize entire continents. "All batteries prepare to fire," Thane commanded. "Target their largest population centers. Let's observe how quickly their unity crumbles when their cities burn." But before the order could be executed, alarms blared throughout the command deck. "Multiple hull breaches reported in lower sections," a security officer shouted. "We're being boarded." "Boarded?" Thane couldn't comprehend it. "How? Our shields are at maximum strength." "They exploited our own supply transporter system," Vel explained, checking his data with mounting horror. "When we recalibrated our shields to counter their EMP attacks, it created a harmonic vulnerability in our matter transmission frequencies. They piggybacked on our supply drone return signals." "Seal all bulkheads," Thane ordered. "Deploy security teams." But it was too late. The humans had studied Kethran's ship design from their destroyed vessels. They knew exactly where to strike. "They're heading directly for the central power core," Kira reported, "and they've planted explosive devices throughout the ship, some kind of improvised demolition charges." True terror rippled through Thane's exoskeleton. "Evacuate command staff to escape vessels immediately." As the command crew rushed to comply, the view screen activated one final time. Admiral Chen stared back at him, her expression grim but satisfied. "You know what your greatest mistake was, Commander Thane," Thane snarled. "How do you know my designation?" Chen smiled coldly. "We cracked your encryption 30 minutes after your first transmission. We know everything about the hegemony now, your homeworld coordinates, your fleet deployments, your technological weaknesses." "This isn't finished," Thane growled. "The hegemony spans 9 sectors. This is merely one fleet." "Oh, I'm counting on that," Chen replied. "Because here's what happens next. We're going to salvage your ships, what remains of them, and your technology. We're going to reverse engineer everything. And then, Commander Thane, we're going to pay your hegemony a visit. Because if there's one thing humans despise more than anything else, it's a bully." The transmission cut as the first explosions rocked the flagship. Thane stood amid the chaos of his crumbling command, facing a truth no Kethran had ever confronted. They had awakened something terrible in the darkness of space, not just another civilization to be conquered, but a species forged in the fires of perpetual conflict, tempered by millennia of warfare against themselves. And now that violence, that terrible efficiency, had found a new target. The hegemony had wanted Earth's resources. They would instead face Earth's wrath. As Thane's escape pod tumbled through space, its systems barely functional after the hasty evacuation from the disintegrating flagship, he watched through the small viewport as the Eternal Dominance broke apart. Great chunks of hegemony engineering now reduced to orbiting debris around the blue planet. 75, he muttered to himself. 75 worlds we conquered without significant resistance. And then, this. The pod's communication system activated. "Commander, this is Strategic Officer Kira. Do you copy?" "I copy," Thane responded, his voice hollow. "Status report. 12 escape vessels accounted for, including yours and mine. Science Officer Vel and Communications Officer Dex are confirmed lost. The humans have captured at least 4 intact destroyers and the remains of the flagship." Thane closed his compound eyes in sequence, a gesture of profound distress. "And the Eternal Dominance's database." A pause. "Still intact when we evacuated, sir. If they access it, they'll have everything," Thane finished. "Hegemony fleet deployments, defense protocols, homeworld coordinates." He struck the pod's wall with a clawed fist. "How did they adapt so quickly?" "Sir, we're being hailed by the nearest hegemony outpost. Relay Station Omega-7 has dispatched recovery vessels. Estimated arrival 8 hours. Good. Once we're aboard, transmit an emergency communication to High Command. Classification. Extinction event. Extinction event? Kira's voice betrayed shock. But sir, that classification hasn't been used since the Void Collective in Sector 12. Yes, and we all remember how that ended. Thane stared at the slowly receding Earth. This is worse, Kira. The Collective was predictable in its expansion. These humans, they're chaotic, innovative. They turned our own technology against us within days. Do you truly believe they pose an existential threat to the hegemony? Thane recalled Admiral Chen's final words, the predatory gleam in her alien eyes. Yes, he said simply. I do. 3 months later, Thane stood before the Supreme Council of the Kethran hegemony on the homeworld of Keth Prime. 9 Supreme Commanders, each representing a conquered sector of space, regarded him with expressions ranging from disbelief to barely concealed contempt. You lost an entire subjugation fleet, Supreme Commander Vex stated, his voice dripping with disdain, to primitives. Not primitives, Thane corrected, standing tall despite his disgrace. I underestimated them. We all did. Their technological advancement was modest, yes, but their adaptability and combat doctrine are unprecedented. So you claim, Supreme Commander Nix said, adjusting her ceremonial armor. Yet in 8,000 cycles, no pre-warp civilization has ever repelled a hegemony fleet. Until now, Thane said firmly. And that's precisely why we must treat this threat seriously. The humans will not be content with merely defending their world. They stated their intentions clearly. They plan to retaliate. Laughter rippled through the council chamber. Retaliate against the hegemony? Vex's mandibles clicked in amusement. With what? A handful of stolen destroyers. We command thousands of warships across 9 sectors. Thane stepped forward. Supreme Commanders, I implore you to listen. These humans are unlike any species we've encountered. They learn at an exponential rate. They improvise in ways our tactical computers cannot predict. And most concerning of all, they've had access to our complete database for 3 months. The chamber fell silent. What are you suggesting? Supreme Commander Rex asked, the oldest and most experienced of the council. Full military mobilization, Thane replied without hesitation. Recall all conquest fleets, fortify our core worlds, establish new defensive perimeters, and prepare for war. An aide suddenly rushed into the chamber, interrupting the proceedings, a breach of protocol so severe it could only mean emergency. Forgive the interruption, Supreme Commanders, the aide said, bowing deeply, but we've received reports from the outer systems. Multiple unidentified vessels have appeared at the edge of hegemony space. Identification? Vex demanded. Unknown, Supreme Commander. Their configuration doesn't match any known species in our database, but... The aide hesitated. Speak freely, Rex commanded. They appear to be hegemony vessels, but modified, heavily modified. Thane felt his exoskeleton grow cold. They're here already, he whispered. Aboard the Earth vessel Retribution, formerly the Kethran destroyer Merciless Victory, Admiral Sarah Chen studied the tactical display. Surrounding her were not just military personnel, but scientists, engineers and civilian specialists from dozens of Earth nations. Fleet status report, she ordered. Colonel Yuki Sato stepped forward. All vessels reporting ready, Admiral. Operation Pushback is go. Chen nodded, surveying the bridge. Just 3 months ago, humans had never ventured beyond their own moon. Now they commanded a fleet of 89 warships, most of them captured and repurposed hegemony vessels, but some entirely new designs built using reverse-engineered alien technology. Dr. Martinez, status on the translation matrix. Dr. Carlos Martinez looked up from his console. Operational, Admiral. We can now intercept and decrypt all hegemony communications in real time. Their encryption algorithms were actually quite sophisticated, just predictable. They haven't updated them in over 400 years. Complacency, Chen remarked. The downfall of empires throughout human history. Seems some things are universal. General David Park, now serving as Fleet Tactical Officer, approached with a data tablet. Latest intelligence suggests the hegemony is scrambling to organize a defense. They still don't believe we pose a serious threat. Chen smiled thinly. Good. First rule of warfare, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. She turned to address the bridge crew. 3 months ago, these aliens came to our world demanding surrender. They expected us to bow down, to accept subjugation. Instead, we showed them what humanity does best: adapt, overcome, and hit back harder than we've been hit. She activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Today we take the fight to the enemy's doorstep. Our mission is not conquest. We are not like them. Our mission is to secure Earth's future by ensuring the hegemony never threatens us again. Chen nodded to Communications Officer Lisa Park. Send the message we prepared. Let's introduce ourselves properly this time. On Keth Prime, the Supreme Council watched in growing horror as the human fleet advanced through hegemony space with shocking efficiency. Outpost after outpost fell silent. The few distress calls that came through described the same scenario. Human ships appearing suddenly, utilizing modified hegemony weapons in ways the Kethrans had never considered, then vanishing before significant resistance could be mounted. "How are they moving so quickly?" Vex demanded. All previous arrogance evaporated. "Our sensor networks should have detected them long before they reached the inner systems." Thane, now reinstated as tactical advisor, due to his first-hand experience with the humans, explained, "They're using our own stealth technology, but they've modified it. See these energy signatures? They've reconfigured the plasma recyclers to absorb our scanning beams rather than deflect them. In essence, the more we scan for them, the more invisible they become." "Brilliant," Kira murmured, now serving as Thane's aide. Supreme Commander Rex rose from his seat. "We must negotiate. Now, before they reach more populated systems." "Negotiate?" Vex sputtered. "With primitives." "They ceased being primitives the moment they defeated our fleet," Rex responded sharply. "And they've advanced considerably since then." He paused. "Open a channel to their command vessel." The central hologram activated, displaying Admiral Chen on the bridge of her ship. The human appeared calm, almost casual, in the face of the most powerful leaders in the hegemony. "Supreme Commanders of the Kethran hegemony," she began, not waiting for them to speak first. "My name is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth. I believe one of you has already had the pleasure of meeting us." Thane stepped forward. "We have indeed, Admiral. Your adaptability was most impressive." "Funny how that works," Chen replied. "Turns out when you threaten a species with extinction, they get pretty motivated to survive." "Who would have thought?" Vex bristled at her tone. "You will show proper respect when addressing the Supreme Council." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Respect is earned, not demanded. Your empire has subjugated 74 peaceful worlds through intimidation and violence. From where I'm standing, you haven't earned anything but our contempt." "You cannot hope to defeat the entire hegemony," Rex said, more measured than his colleague. "While your initial victories are concerning, we have resources beyond your comprehension." "Oh, we comprehend them quite well," Chen countered. "We've had 3 months with your complete database, remember? We know exactly what you have, where it is, and how to counter it. But here's the good news. We're not here to defeat you." The Supreme Commanders exchanged glances. "Then what do you want?" Rex asked carefully. Chen leaned forward. "Terms. Non-negotiable terms. First, immediate liberation of all 74 subjugated worlds. Second, a demilitarized zone extending 10 light-years in all directions from Earth. Third, technology exchange protocols that benefit all species, not just the Kethrans." "Preposterous," Vex exclaimed. "The hegemony has ruled for 8,000 cycles. We will not be dictated to by—" The communications officer interrupted. "Supreme Commanders, we're receiving reports that the humans have disabled the planetary defense grid. Their ships are in orbit around Keth Prime. They could strike at any moment." Silence fell over the chamber. "How is this possible?" Nix whispered. "The defense grid has never been breached." Thane stepped forward again. "Because you designed it to repel enemies who think like you do. The humans don't. They never have." Chen's expression remained neutral. "You have 1 hour to consider our terms. To show good faith, we won't fire on your homeworld during that time. But to demonstrate our resolve, the hologram split to show a hegemony military shipyard in orbit around Keth Prime's second moon. As they watched, precision strikes from cloaked human vessels disabled the facility without destroying it. "Minimal casualties," Chen noted, just making a point. The transmission ended. Rex turned to his fellow commanders. "We have no choice. Their tactics are unpredictable, their technology advancing too rapidly. We cannot surrender to primitives," Vex insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. They are not primitives, Thane said firmly. Not anymore, and they never will be again. We have awakened something that should have been left alone, a species that spent its entire history fighting itself, perfecting the art of warfare against its own kind. And now, thanks to us, they have a common enemy and the technology to match their aggression. Kira stepped forward, data tablet in hand. Analysis of their attack patterns shows they've been deliberately avoiding civilian targets. They could have caused massive casualties, but chose not to. I believe their terms are sincere. Rex nodded slowly. Then we accept their terms. And we hope they are more merciful conquerors than we have been. 6 months later, Thane stood on an observation platform overlooking the newly established Galactic Cooperative Council on the neutral world of Haven Prime. Below, representatives from Earth mingled with delegates from the formerly subjugated worlds, and even some Kethran diplomats. Kira joined him at the railing. Quite a change from a year ago, wouldn't you say? He nodded, no longer bearing the title of commander. Indeed, the hegemony reduced to one sector, 74 worlds free for the first time in generations, and humans everywhere. They kept their word, Kira observed. They didn't conquer us when they could have. No, Thane agreed. That's what makes them so fascinating. They could have destroyed us, enslaved us as we would have done to them. Instead, they forced us to the negotiating table, created this. He gestured at the council chamber below. Do you think we'll ever truly understand them? Thane watched as Admiral Chen, now Ambassador Chen, laughed at something a representative from the aquatic Nereid species said. No, their strength isn't just in their adaptability or their warfare. It's in their contradictions. They are violent yet merciful, individualistic yet unified, primitive yet innovative. A dangerous species to make an enemy of, Kira said. Yes, but perhaps... Thane paused, considering a notion that would have been unthinkable to any Kethran a year ago. Perhaps an even more valuable species to have as allies. Below, the inaugural session of the Galactic Cooperative was about to begin. Representatives from 112 worlds, including Earth and Keith Prime, took their seats. For the first time in 8,000 cycles, the Kethrans would not be dictating terms, but participating as equals. As Ambassador Chen took the podium to deliver the opening address, Thane reflected on the chain of events that had led to this moment. The hegemony had wanted Earth's resources, just another conquest in millennia of expansion. Instead, they found something far more valuable, a lesson in humility, and perhaps a better way forward. The hegemony had wanted Earth's resources. They received humanity's innovation instead, and the galaxy would never be the same.